them one author called them the never enoughers. It was never enough for certain people. Frustrated, life just doesn't pan out for them. Things don't quite work out, and they are living as if they were walking on a field of razor blades. And I'm not sure what motivates the hunger goes around. Let me look at notes here. Just a moment. The obsessive nature of video games, addictions of various sorts. All right, the addiction is a good model. It's just sort of the obsessiveness of more and more and more, but never enough. Okay, and then we go finally to the hell world. I'll say a little bit about the hell world. A lot of people approach Buddhism thinking, oh, this is such a nice, sweet religion. We're rejecting, I certainly rejected the whole notion of hell in the Christian, in Islam. Judaism does not have as clear a picture of hell, but there's Gehenna, nevertheless. But certainly in Christianity, I've heard some horrible descriptions. And in Christianity and Islam, it's eternal hell. Eternal. And it's a punishment. So, of course we reject such a, well, not of course, there's millions and millions of Muslims and Christians, but of course I reject it, and you reject it perhaps, such a cruel vision of the world with a God that would actually create fallible beings with free will so they can free will themselves into an eternal punishment. I mean, the span of our life is what, 100 years? It's, like this little thing, and then now we're going to suffer for infinity. That makes no sense. So, even though the Buddhist hells are quite daunting, and like I said, when I read about them, I had to put down all that material for a while. I think it was months, because it was repugnant to me. But again, like I said, is some of it, a lot of it comes from the medieval mind, be it the Tibetan medieval mind of the 1200s or the European medieval mind of the 12 to 1500s. It matters little. I think the mindset is very similar. The thing about the Buddhist hells, two things. One, it's not eternal. Again, the mountains of karma. If enough hatred and rage and whatever propels me to hell, then as it gets used up, I will die from the hell, and possibly be reborn again as a human, or at least an animal, and possibly more. So, be it 100, be it 10 years, 100 years, or 1,000 years, there's an end point to this. Second, it's described not as a punishment, but as a consequence of karma. Little it matters to the person who's in hell, but I think of that as say you're in a construction site and the sign says, please wear a hard hat, and you say, everything will work out, and you go by there and a brick hits you in the head. Well, you got the hint. Why were you asked to wear a hard hat? Because the consequences of the dangers of a construction site. Same way the description of the 10 virtuous deeds are signposts. They're not commandments. They're warnings. They're protections for you to follow to avoid that brick of karma falling on your head. So it's cause and effect. There's a story, I'll mention the story because I intended to in the first place. The Zen master, the samurai, great samurai, comes to him very eagerly and says, Master, show me heaven and show me hell. Tell me how to get to heaven. And the master said, what kind of stupid crap is that? You're nothing but a bag of rice. And the samurai becomes furious and begins to pull his sword, and the master says, that is hell. And the samurai is shaken by this comment and puts his sword down and breathes calmly. And the teacher says, that is heaven. So right there, karma. Well, all right, we cover the 6 worlds and some of the ways to approach them. again, I think the way to work with this is to look at our own emotional states and understand, sort of complementary to the lists of 10 virtuous deeds or 37 practices of the Bodhisattva, or, you know, if we practice the training of the mind. It escapes me now the term for the lojong mind training. Yeah, but all of that is again to help us, and so our the ability to recognize these emotional states and to not try to control them or suppress them, but just recognize them and let them be. Like again, Pema Chodron said, the places that scare you, and what follows to that title is, be with the places that scare you, because you will develop fearlessness. And allowing the consciousness to flow, and this is what defrosts the ice of these frozen emotional states that we get into, and we certainly get into them. But leave the risings in the risings, and you'll be okay. Everything's going to be okay. So this took a while. I hope those of you who are serious students do listen to the whole thing through. I will post it in the website, clearlightvideos.net. I also suggest you go to Clearlight Videos to the audio section, and if you want pretty thorough material, you can get the 1971 Allen Spark presentation by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. None of us could even pretend or aspire or dream of presenting such a profound thing as he did. And that was a historic presentation. It was a turning point where he began to trust his students with more profound material. That presentation of the Six Worlds, as well as the presentation of the 5 Buddha families and the mandala, which I will cover in another group of presentations, are profound teachings squarely in the Vajrayana tradition, at least how it's presented. So I encourage you to keep sitting. We will continue to present these things to you, and I wish you well and good practice. Tashi Delek.